wing and believe some extreme views on the left and have some extreme views on the right. And but let me finish this point. However, the thought is, and the goal is that in spite of our ideologies and our beliefs and the prejudices and so forth that we all have, when you strap on the badge or you strap on the uniform of the branch of the military that you're serving, you are there knowing that your goal is to protect the public and the citizens that you've been sworn to uphold your duty. Ideally.
I feel Brian feels like that there was police involved in the rioting of the Capitol, and that I have Stacy. She basically said there was a black guy that was out there participating in the riot, and he haven't been released like the rest of the people.
They're giving him a psychological evaluation. What in the hell was he doing?
Right.
He thought it was a problem.
Why was you out there?
Yeah, sorry, sir. We're going to put you in the insane asylum. Why were you there, and why didn't they kill you?
Well, Brian, was that Brian you said?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's correct.
No, that was Stacy. Well, he was released.
Stacy's correct on a couple of fronts. She's absolutely correct that there were law enforcement members involved. There were members of the military involved. There were lawyers out there. There was one guy out there that had his job's access card strapped to his jacket. So
these ain't the smartest people.
Yeah. So I mean, you had folks from every vocation that were out there, and you've heard several police chiefs who have come out publicly and said we are actually investigating information that we've received that some of our officers were there, and they have internal investigations going. So yeah, I mean that's come out, and I'm sure as the investigation continues, the net is going to get wider. You're going to have people from ranging from teachers to, orthopedic surgeons that were out there and everything in between. So that she's absolutely correct.
How long, Chief, you say has a psychological evaluation been a part of onboarding officers?
As far as I know, it's been onboarding. It's been part of the onboarding process for decades. And now, one of the things that they're looking at in agencies across the country are, occasionally requiring personnel to be re-evaluated in terms of their psychological stability. And you may see that come to the forefront depending on the outcome of this investigation, because, they have a long way to go before this thing is wrapped up. And the FBI and the Capitol Police are able to say, here's what happened, here's what didn't happen, here's what we should have done, here's what we shouldn't have done, here are the things we should have done better.
Yeah, I mean, I remember saying when it first started a couple weeks ago, I think I said, I bet you 1 in 3 of them were out there, were about a third of them were law enforcement, and about 75% of them were military. But I did see a statistic, I guess an official statistic, that said like 1 in 5 of those folks out there were military trained, which is a whole nother thing. You talk about psychological evaluation. I mean, what is that? I mean, these cats had tactical gear. Some of them had tactical gear and thought it was okay to where they got their comeuppance. I would love to have seen cameras, because them suckers had to park somewhere in Washington D.C. With all their Trump stuff and all their gear, and they had to come back at night to get their car. I would have loved to. I mean, I saw a couple of Instagram posts where the folks in the neighborhood were like, "You better get the hell out of here with all that Trump stuff in your car." I just wonder what it really looked like that night when they were trying. How many people didn't get their car?
Well,
they drove, they parked. They parked a quarter mile in any direction in D.C. from the Capitol. And some of them were coming from other places. They don't know nothing about Southeast D.C. They don't know nothing about no parts of DC.
We are halfway through the show. We're more than halfway through the show. And I only got my song one time. I'm just saying.
Okay. I guess we don't want to.
I'm sorry. I know this is real talk.
There was a lot of glass breaking, I bet, when they came back to get their car.
That's right.
Folks came back to get
and of course, we don't own the rights to that music.
What you say?
I said we don't own the rights to that music.
Not own the rights to that music.
No, we only own Shannon. That's it. That's all we own.
That's all.
We just own Shannon. Hush your mouth.
But it's just, I mean, it's a sad state of affairs, and I really don't see. We wished and we hoped. We said, man, if we can just get 50 senators. We'll be good. We'll be able to do stuff. But nobody anticipated all of this craziness. I mean, you've got, some people are like, should you move on? Just move on, forget it. And then you got other folks that are like, no, we got, you really, how much, what they have up their sleeve. I don't know that much about procedure beyond, what we all know at this point. What do you do when you've got folks who've already told you, we got 45 people that are saying if you bring it out here, it's dead on arrival. So should they? How much energy should they put on impeaching this fool?
But what does the impeachment look? What would that look like? What they want him right now is to not be able to run again.
So if the Senate does it and they convict him, he will no longer be able to run for office or to hold public office again. So, and that's what they want to. That's what they really want to do is not have that kind of craziness. But the reality is, what he uncovered.
He's campaigning now. The reality is he's still campaigning. Yeah, well, he's raising money. What is he raising money for? The next campaign.
Yeah, well, or his legal funds because his ass about to be going to jail.
Can he use that money for anything else?
I understand. I understand there are some different uses for some of that money he's raised. Now, I'm not an attorney, so I'm not even going to try to list it. But what I will tell you is that between now and 2024, a variety of things are going to happen more than likely. One of the other things is that the former president is facing quite a few legal battles in different states around the country, and he's going to have to deal with those things. In the meantime, like with anything else, while people, and this is just the nature of politics, but there are some folks who are eagerly waiting in the wings who are going to take their shot next time, whether he decides to run or not. So that's going to happen. So, there's just hundreds of different things that can happen between now and then that may shape the dynamic of who's going to represent the Republican Party in 2024. And like you said early in the show, then bad, on top of all that, we still got to get people vaccinated so that there's some people around in 2024, with this different strand of COVID that's coming from Brazil and some other places. We have to keep our eye on that. I know I was texting back and forth with some medical professionals last night who were recommending, you should consider double masking and not have people.
I'm sorry. Wait, they said Trump is raising money to give us another stimulus check.
Well, look, that might be true. That might be true,
Man, Trump.
So
crazy. That man is crazy.
But I tell you,
he raised it. He still got. I don't know. That New York court case. All of that other stuff that he had to do. That was supposedly waiting for him when he got out of office. So I don't know what they're waiting on. I haven't with all the other stuff that's going on. I'm not even paid attention to that piece.
Sure.
Right.
Of it. So maybe they can't impeach him, but they can lock his ass up.
Do you think that's going to happen though?
Probably
I would
not.
like to hear somebody start talking about it. I don't hear him saying nothing about it. So maybe
no, they're scared to even impeach him. It seems like they don't even want to do that.
I doubt if he's going to be impeached.
I mean, that's something that's controlled by the Congress, that political body. But, this is the legal body here. Now, if he carries his stuff if he gets tried and goes to court, and maybe then he'll have to, if he appeals and it goes to the Supreme Court, I don't know how he can appeal or whatever. I'm sure he'll try everything, whatever he can. But I think they ought to be, I thought that was really what was fueling his ridiculous effort to hold on to office, was that he knew as soon as he left or conceded or anything like that, which he still hadn't done, obviously, and he wasn't going to do. But once all of that happened, that he would then be, jail bait for real.
Right.
I mean,
right.
He'd be ready to, it's time for him. All right, little Donnie. Time to go, Donald. Time to go to jail.
Well, they pretty much said it's about to be swept up underneath the table, the rug, the chair, wherever you want to sweep it. That's where it's going, because they feel like, a lot of our viewers feel like nothing's going to happen.
And they're probably right, but I tell you, and this is where we really got to be able to multitask. There's nothing any of us can do in terms of any criminal trial. And I can tell you that from a person that's been in court hundreds of times. Only thing you can do as a prosecutor or person presenting evidence is present the facts as you know it, and then the process has to do what it do, if you will. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. But what I will say is that along with that is I'm just hoping that this whole vaccination piece is ramped up so that as many people as possible can get that potion in their arms, and we can start moving towards a state of normalcy. Because let's push the whole piece with the ex-president aside. All those guys involved with that, guys and girls, Democrats, Republicans, the ex-president, the current president, those folks are taken care of. All of them have health plans. All of them are going to be able to eat. All of them are receiving the shots. So they're good. My concern is the millions of people who are just really terrified of this thing. When you have people that are trying to jump the line, they're calling, saying I'm 135 years old and they're really 20 years old, and people are really concerned about this thing. You look at, they just did an article here out in Las Vegas where they were talking about the rise in suicides among students in Clark County School District as a result of the whole quarantine and virtual environment where the young people are learning. Domestic violence incidents are up, and violent crime is up in cities across the nation. And a lot of the sociologists and psychologists and criminologists are linking this to this whole pandemic response and the fact that we're all locked down and we can't get out and everybody's frustrated, just a variety of reasons. So I'm just hoping that this whole thing will be ramped up so that at some point we'll be able to get the all clear sign and try to get our lives back to whatever the new normal will be when this thing is over.
Which I get that, Mike, but we have the new strand that's out that we don't even know if the vaccine will take care of that.
Yep. Well,
so the new strand is supposed to be worse than the old strand, and the old strand killed how many people already?
Yeah, over 400,000. Now, according to Dr. Fauci, when I was looking at the news earlier today, he was saying that one of the new strands, he's pretty confident that the vaccine should be okay with it. But apparently there's another strand that they're concerned about. They're trying to race to get ahead of that one so that if it does get over here in massive quantities, that there'll be enough herd immunity. I'm using terms that I'm not a doctor, of course.
Sound good, Doc.
Yeah, thank you.
You do. You sound great.
Yeah. But look, I only did the orientation in medical school. Just kidding.
That's farther than me.
Yeah, but So you're right, Shannon. That new strand, the new strands that are coming out are very worrisome, and we haven't even gotten enough doses in people's arms to deal with the old strand. So this is a mess.
So I